Okay. Hello and welcome back to the Final Whistle podcast. My name is Harry McBain, and joining myself and Bobby Stead, two Arsenal fans. Obviously, Bobby's an Arsenal fan as well, so I'm outnumbered here totally. Adam is from the Instagram page Always Arsenal, and Yusuf from the Realistic Gooner Instagram page. All the links will be down in the section below the video here. So let's start with you, Adam. 10th in the league at the moment. What are your thoughts on the performances so far this season?
Below average. There's literally nothing else to say than that. But obviously, in recent times, it's looked more positive. But you know what? I was thinking about this earlier, and it's because we never start a game on the front foot. Like we normally start the game on the back foot. So we need to be scoring the first goals, because when we don't score the first goals, we struggle. Like yesterday was a prime example. Southampton literally had us on strings until the 70th minute.
Yeah.
So I feel like if we start with playing game on the front foot, we'll start, producing scorelines way more. But it's just not been good. I've not been happy. I think when we beat United away, that run of games after that, that's when I really started to question the club, and I was thinking something needs to change now. Then obviously the Chelsea game, Mikel obviously had to rotate and had to try new things, and it worked. It obviously worked, but I'm more positive now. But yesterday definitely took my positivity down a little bit. But again, the squad was understandable of why. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, even arguably that is the second team, but still, all those players in the week have obviously gone to Arteta and they're begging him oh, come on, you got to give me a chance, you got to let me play, and they kind of let him down because, Pepe was below average. He just seems to scuff every chance he gets, and then Willian's still not had any shots on target. Jesus.
I can't deal with Willian anymore. I've lost patience.
I just don't want him on the pitch.
How that guy's even playing is just, I don't really know. Just another one of Chelsea's finished players stuck with him.
Well, yeah, and obviously winning the FA Cup last year, and then got the Community Shield this year. Do you think that, how much more were you expecting from this season, considering how last season ended trophy-wise?
All right, I'll be honest with after the ending we had last season, because I did think, because beating sides like Chelsea and Man City, sides that nobody really gave us an opportunity to, I didn't believe we would get wins against such teams. And obviously we had good wins in the league towards the end of the season. Yes, we finished 8th, and then obviously we won the FA Cup and then had a good result against Liverpool in the Community Shield. Now, my expectations going into this season, don't get me wrong, I wasn't expecting to get into the top 4, because our squad is still not good enough to get the top 4, because we're still stuck with a lot of players who are just simply not good enough to play for this football club. Yeah. Players that we need to offload, just get rid of altogether. But I'll be honest, my expectations was, I was expecting us to have a go for that top 6, maybe finish 6th, 5th, 6th, 7th, realistically, just qualify for the Europa League. And that was the expectation, because we all know we're not good enough just yet to get the top 4. If we are to get the top 4, we need at least 4 or 5 really good signings. That's my opinion on things right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Adam, what would you maybe take as your ideal, obviously realistic ideal finish this season?
Well, it's hard to say. Considering the start we've had right now, realistically, I can see us finishing quite similar to last season, or else it will probably be at best. Obviously, I'm not ruling out top 6 yet. I mean, I don't think we will get it. But considering how mad open this season has been, what have we got to lose just to make a push for it? I mean, I don't think we'll get it, because the likes of Leicester and those teams are better than us. But it's possible, because everybody's just dropping points this season. But realistically, I think we'll be 7th, 8th, 9th, somewhere like that.
Yeah, Adam, do you agree?
Yeah, that's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah, I was thinking that. Like you said, with teams it's so open, the league. Like you said, literally Chelsea look like title contenders, and now they're looking more like us. Do you know what I mean? We was apparently a relegation.
Yeah.
And now what are we, 10th, climbing up the table gradually. But every game is crucial. Before, if you lost one game there and then, it would be that's fine. But we have to win every single game if we really want to try. Obviously, we've got games coming up, I think, against City, United at home.
Yeah,
so we're going to struggle. We're going to really struggle, but we have to win every single game. Or not, you know what I mean? We're not going to win every game, but we have to try and have the mentality to win every game. And then I believe, we might be able to go for. Do you know what? Unfortunately, like, we should never be saying this, but I'll be happy with like a 7th, 8th finish. Do you know what I mean? Like, only this season. It's a process. As everyone says, it's a process. Yeah, it is a process. That's all I think. Like, I'll be happy with 7th, 8th. I won't be happy. You know what I mean? I won't be happy.
Content.
But how it is.
In the context of the season, how it's gone, it's better.
However, you never know. We could get better than that. You just don't know, because teams like Villa and all that, I feel like they might eventually drop off. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They might start losing. I can't see Villa winning like all these games like they are now. Who else? I think Leicester will carry on because they're a brilliant side. But even Chelsea, they're not looking good at all at the moment. I don't know. Yeah, I
mean, even Liverpool are dropping off a little bit. I mean, I think we can write them off, but they're not.
City. Out of anyone, if I had to pick anyone, it'd be City to win the league. But
well, for the league, I totally agree. The reason why I would say City as well is because since they've signed Ruben Dias, their defence is just not conceding. Best defence in the league. And yeah, Man United are up there, but I wouldn't say United to win it, because apart from David De Gea, who's the only player surviving from the Ferguson time to have won the league, none of these players have the experience. All this Man City squad, most of the players, I know the likes of David Silva, company, they're all left, but most of the players who won the last league title are still there. Those players have got the experience. Man United's squad don't have the experience in this position. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, 100.
Good point.
Agree.
Yeah,
I don't think
it's just like with United, it feels like at any minute they could just fall apart just because of their track record.
The thing is, because of how mad this season is, nearly every one of the big teams have had a bad run of form. The only one who's yet to score, Man United, had a poorest start to the season, but they've yet to really have a bad patch. And it would be, because every time, what I've noticed with United since Ollie's been there, every time they've gone on long streaks without losing, the moment that streak ends and they tend to lose a game, they tend to fall apart after that. So I reckon something similar would happen again.
100. Agreed.
Yeah.
Bobby, if we just go to you quickly, if we went back to the Emery time at Arsenal, and he was heavily criticised with a lot of the results that he got. Do you think, or how much do you think the club has improved under Arteta, or do you think you're still around the same, level?
I'm not totally sure. I mean, I know at the moment it's been better in terms of recently getting rid of some of the deadwood. Like obviously Kolasinac is gone, Socrates is gone, Ozil's gone after he's not playing. I don't know. Like with Emery, it just felt like we were in that transition, and he was the manager after Wenger that maybe wasn't going to be the one. But, he was there to do a job. And obviously, we had a great run. We went like 20 games unbeaten, but then it all sort of fell apart at the end. And with Arteta, I still think it's really difficult to judge. Like, we've had the ups with the, winning the cup. Some could say you've paved over the cracks of like the bad things with that. But, I don't think we've ultimately got as better as we should have for where we are now. I think it can get better, but it all depends. One, on whether the players are going to turn up. Two, on maybe the transfer activity and, the backing from the board. But, yeah, it's just really difficult to tell, because it seems like we can either pick up a decent run of form. But then again, what I don't get is we've sort of tossed the FA Cup aside. Like, it didn't really matter. But realistically, that could have been one of our opportunities to save something from this season again, like last season. Because realistically, we may go to Southampton and win the game because we've got a stronger team. But that 3 points takes us up to what, like 9th or 8th in the league? And personally, I'd rather maybe do not as well and come maybe 8th or 9th in the league and then get another trophy, because, getting a trophy is a good thing to do. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if he plans on going for Europa League run. I'm not totally sure what the idea is at the moment, to be honest.
Adam, would you agree that maybe that you haven't improved as much as maybe you would have hoped?
Do you know what? Under Emery, I think he improved our attacking a lot. He got us goals. We scored a lot of goals in games. And then now under Arteta, and then our problem with Emery was our defence still. Our defence was still goals. Under Arteta, he's improved our defence, but we're struggling to get the goals. So both managers have both come in, they've sort of improved something, but then there's no balance between them both. Do you know what I mean? We need a balance between defending well and scoring goals. So I feel like Emery, in a way, was harshly criticised a lot at the end of his time, but the results we started getting, when we started losing, like in the Europa League against teams that I've never even heard of at home, and that was sort of when we was like, okay, something needs to change, and then we had to change. But like Bobby said, I don't know if Arteta is the right sort of. I hope he is, and I do trust him. But is he the right sort of experienced manager that will bring this club forward? If you get what I mean.
Yeah. If he has enough experience to handle sort of the difficult situations that comes with it.
Hats off to him. It's a hard situation. You got like you said, deadwood players in your club. So you have to get rid of them, and then you have to build who you want, who you think's going to fit your system, who you think's going to win you games. So that's why obviously we're calling it a process, because we have to wait for transfer windows. We have to wait for players to leave. Like I said, this month has been successful so far. We've got rid of Kolasinac, Ozil, again paying $350k a week for someone to sit at home, doing nothing. And then who else we got? And then Socrates as well. That's about $550k off the wage budget alone. And then Ryan, I think, was a good deal actually to bring in.
I had no idea that was happening.
No one did. No one did. I think that's a really good deal though, because he's got Premier League experience. I know obviously you can question why he got dropped by Brighton. He must have done. I mean, he must have. But I feel like we're going somewhere. It's just very, very, very slow.
Yeah. What did you make of the Ozil departure? Were you? I mean, a lot of the Arsenal fans were glad to see him go. Were you one of those?
You're talking about the Ozil situation, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate what Mr. Ozil did for this football club in his time, but I just thought that, I mean, I don't agree with the way he was treated, but I do think his time was coming to an end anyway, because even when Emery did give him opportunities, and he played about 20 or so games in Emery's first season, played a bit under Arteta, his level of performances was starting to drop. He just wasn't the player he was when we first signed him. Like in his last season, I think, or the first season under Emery, when he had 5 assists or 6 assists all season, that just simply isn't good enough for me, in my opinion. If you're going to compare him to creative players like De Bruyne or somebody as good as him, 6 assists a season is just not good enough. And I think that obviously another reason why he got dropped was because he's just, I appreciate, like I said, what he did for the club, but his work rate at times is just pathetic. It's just not good enough. And as well, a lot of people I just get annoyed about the amount of delusional fans who talk about Ozil all the time. Oh, Ozil, I get that we're lacking creativity, but we could spend the money and get someone else. Ozil's not the player he was. Another thing is, a lot of people forget the bad things Ozil did during this time. I haven't forgotten games away to Atletico Madrid 3 years ago in the semi-final when Martin Keown came out heavily of DT Sport and criticised the guy because we were losing the game 2-0 and he was subbed off the pitch by Arsene Wenger and the guy just walks off as if he doesn't care. And he did the exact same thing again in the Europa League final against Chelsea with 20 minutes to go. I know we were 4-1 down and the game was over, but at least we're trying to come back in the game, Don't walk off the pitch as if you don't care. But people forget, this is what annoys me about certain Arsenal fans. They forget all the bad things these players do, but then because they have 1 or 2 good performances, they start hyping up everyone again. And I seriously do get annoyed of this thing.
And obviously, there are a few players that came and go. Oh, wait, Bob, do you have something to say about Ozil?
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, obviously, there was a lack of creativity and everyone was screaming out for him to come back. At the time, I didn't think it was the play. And obviously now it seems that we have got Odegaard on loan from Real Madrid, which could be, it would be quite good to see if he could fill in that role, give Smith Rowe a little bit of competition, give him some experience. So yeah, so I was just going to add on that it's good to see we've actually brought someone else in. Yeah.
And in the summer, you sold Emery Martinez to Villa, and he has delivered some quite good performances for them this season. Adam, were you disappointed with the sale?
Oh yeah, of course I was disappointed because he's a player that I really liked. I always felt like he never got enough game time. So when he finally did, he started to prove himself, and you could see it. Like you could see that he was too good to be a backup. So then you sort of had to say to yourself, it's either going to be Leno or Martinez, because you can't have two players of that quality, goalkeepers, one sitting on the bench week in, week out. And I know we say they can compete for number one, but with most clubs, you have a number one goalkeeper who plays all the Premier League games normally, and then you normally have like a backup who plays your cup games. That's sort of what it is. Yeah. Martinez was too good to be on the bench, and Leno. It's not like Leno played badly. Do you know what I mean? Leno kept proving himself to be good.
No, yeah.
With Martinez, I thought his delivery was much better. Like from the goal kick, I think his goal kicks are much better than Leno's. You know what I mean? Like he could play like a long ball up, where Leno can't as much. That's the only thing that I really liked in Martinez, and also obviously he was a great player. But I feel like it was right. We got a decent bit of money for him. 20-something million for a player that a couple of years ago you'd be like, he's deadwood. But obviously, do you know what I mean? Like a few years ago when he got no chances, he had like 10 loans, something like that. You sort of thought, okay, this player ain't a good player really. But obviously, then he really proved himself. I started, I personally could see how much he was improving, and then I was very sad to see him go. But I think it was the right decision for him, for the club, and for like the financial situation, money in. So I would say I was happy to see him go for his own sake. And now look at him; he's thriving at Villa. They're doing well. It shows maybe he's coming and transformed that Villa side, because they scraped 1 point off relegation, or maybe 1 point.
They saved up on the last day. I think.
They stayed up on goal difference.
Goal difference. Yeah.
So goal difference. So I feel like you could debate it, say he came in and changed that team. So I think it's good for him, and I'm happy for him. So I'm happy with that.
And brought into the club during the summer, there was obviously Partey came in and Gabriel at the back, and they were both, considered that they would raise Arsenal's game a bit. Yusuf, what have you made of their impact to the side?
I think Gabriel has been a really solid centre-back to add to the squad, because personally I think the centre-backs we've had, don't get me started on, because I don't want to go on a rant on the stream. Mustafi, don't get me starting about that guy. He's just not reliable. He's not good enough. Socrates was all right, I suppose, but Gabriel alone, just that signing, has literally, in my opinion, improved the defence. Yes, we were improving since Mikel Arteta got the job, because he's made us a bit more hard to beat and more organised at the back. But Gabriel, this season, there's so many games where he's been one of our standout players this season. Like, apart from the only game that I'd say where he wasn't great, but that everyone was awful that day, was the Aston Villa game that we lost 3-0. But other than that, the Leicester game, let's just talk about that one. The game that we lost 1-0 to Leicester, for example, Gabriel had a really solid performance. And although that game was quite dead and boring and frustrating at 0-0, there was just one moment in that game which Vardy came off the bench. And at that moment, Gabriel went to the left side because he sensed the danger that Maddison or whoever was on that side. Now, I can't remember, but he was yelling at Mustafi that day to go and cover the space in the middle, because he is aware of the danger there. But Mustafi is too brain dead for his own good to cover that space. And so he let Vardy sneak in behind, and we ended up losing that game. But overall, he has been really solid, and it was a really good signing. And for 25 million, he is easily worth more than that. That is a bargain done, in my opinion, for Arsenal Football Club.
Yeah, I think he's won 3 Player of the Months as well. He's just settling in quite nicely. Obviously, taking his time to learn the language as well, because I'm not totally sure he was fluent when he came here. But I think it's a great sign, especially his age as well.
Well,
And Bobby, what have you made of Partey's impact, if at all?
I mean, it's been a slow and steady start with him, hasn't it? He came in last minute signing on deadline day. Everyone was really excited about it. And, when he's come on, he's shown that he's just that sort. He's got that class and that ability. I mean, he's not played that much, obviously, because he's been out with injury. The few games he has played pretty well. The Newcastle game, he put in a nice performance. And I think he could be more of a bit of seem like a January signing, because, he hasn't played as much as we would have liked him to. Everyone was quite excited, but it's not happened in our favour, really. But I think obviously it's a great signing. It allows to have, a holding midfielder that doesn't just constantly pass the ball backwards and sideways, which just does my head in. So it's nice to actually
get me started about that.
Don't. Lenny, Xhaka, the worst combo you can ever pick in that midfield.
Yeah, I think Partey might
sideways
even...
and backwards. Talking
What's
about
that?
this sideways and backwards thing that has been going on for such a long time. There's nobody
Oh,
really
stop.
annoys me on the ball. And a lot of people laughed at me back then, but it is so true. The reason why I called Mohamed Elneny into Mohamed El sideways, because if you notice what that guy does when he has the ball, all he does is pass it sideways or backwards. Now, I don't mind you bringing him on the pitch when we're winning the game 2 or 3-0. He can do it as much as he wants, but just him and Xhaka starting together doesn't work because they're two defensive-minded midfielders. If you want to play, play Mohamed Elneny, either he has Ceballos or somebody else who doesn't do backwards, because him and Xhaka together, we've tried it, it just doesn't work. And when I see them both playing, it really annoys me because Xhaka does try, but then you've got the idiot next to him passing it sideways and backwards, and it's just really frustrating. It does my head in, like you said.
And in the summer, obviously, the we kind of touched on it a bit earlier, but the free transfer of Willian, who had done quite well with Chelsea. Oh, the head getting hiding there. It's fair to say he has been probably one of the biggest disappointments I'm sure you've had at the club so far, Adam.
Yeah.
What do you make of him?
How do I describe him? A player that I would love to just release. I would love to just literally get his contract right now. No. Do you know what? He's a player that I think the biggest problem with him is he takes so long to pass the ball. He literally gets the ball and he tries to, hold on to it. And then by the time he passes the ball, he either loses it or he gets, intercepted. And there's no... At Chelsea, you saw him. He used to be able to score free kicks all the time. He used to be able to run down the wing and dart a ball in. With us, he just it's like he's lost that. It's like he's come here just to sort of doss around, sort of just play, just if he could be bothered, make a run. Do you know what I mean? What's he had I think he's had 0 shots on target since the first game, which is that first game. Fine. I think every fan against Fulham, we can all say, okay, Willian looks quite cool. He played really well against them. Everyone starts to hype him up. And then I can't say...
Since then?
Nothing. That's what I'm saying. Since then, I have no praise for him. Not one bit. And I think he has to be the biggest waste of money for a long time. No, literally.
It was a free transfer, but it's still a waste.
Yeah, the wages.
The amount of wages that guy's getting as well.
It's a waste. So I'm not happy with him. But, you never know.
And the thing is, we're stuck with him for 3 years. Don't forget that.
Yeah, no, well, I don't think anyone would be willing to come in and voluntarily take him away.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Arteta annoys me, though. I can't lie. Arteta does annoy me in that sense because he always tries to back Willian and try to make excuses for him. Be like, we're still adapting. I'm sorry, but how can you adapt when you've been in the Premier League for 7 and 8 years?
Yeah,
and he still makes excuses week in, week out. And I don't know what is... Obviously, you have to play players that you're paying. Do you know what I mean? You have to play him. Obviously, Willian's going to go up to him and be like, please play me, boss, blah, blah, blah. But he always feels like he has to play him. And he sometimes brings Willian on instead of Pepe, for example, off the bench. And not being funny, but I'd much rather see Pepe. I know Pepe's also been under thriving, but still rather see Pepe than Willian all day long.
Yeah.
100%.
And
I'm glad it happened anyway, because I was calling for this thing for some time to happen. Every single time, I'm not Arteta out, but at times I have questioned his team selections because the likes of Hector Bellerin, Willian, why on earth were they playing week in, week out when they just do nothing? They don't contribute nothing to the team. And I'll tell you Willian, what that guy does, yeah? His crosses are so awful. Either they don't beat the first man or they just beat everyone and go out of play. That's all he does.
Well, thank you both for joining us. We'll put your links down below and make sure everyone to go and check them out. Thank you for listening. That was The Final Whistle.